And so I want to welcome you guys into my story. My story is I have a neurological disability called cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a lack of oxygen entry at birth. I got my gift from God at back in June of 87, June 22nd, 87 to be exact. I've had my gift from God for 33 years now, almost 34 years. And in the midst of me dealing with this gift, aka the disability, I have lost both my parents, been emotionally and physically abused, and I'm still thriving and still kicking and getting a journalism degree as we speak. And so that is my story. And I just want to thank Erica Lynn again for welcoming me on.
Erica Lynn Speaks Podcast is a place where you can grow beyond your limitations and make an impact on the world. I am Erica Lynn. I will teach you how to take the restraints off of you, begin to live free, and become unstoppable. Go to ericalynnspeaks.com. Welcome to Erica Lynn Speaks Podcast. This is the home where we go and touch places that you didn't think we were going to touch. Reach things inside of you that you didn't even know was still there. But this is also that we can pull out the greatness in you so that you can become whomever you want to become and you can do whatever it is that you want to do. You know, I have a special guest on my show today, and she knows all about pulling things out of her in order to reach the levels of life that she has reached, to achieve the goals that she have achieved and still achieving. See, there's nothing that happens to you in life that should prevent you from reaching your goals in any form of fashion. Even if you can't do it one way, then you try another, but you just be creative enough to reach your goals. And so joining me today is just this wonderful, phenomenal woman, Lynn Charles. Lynn, welcome to Erica Lynn Speaks Podcast.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you, Erica's listeners, for allowing me to grace Erica Lynn's stage and share my wisdom for a moment. And for those of you who are going to be Googling, stop right now, Google, because I'm going to mention words that you are going to want to Google, but stop. I'm going to send you in a different rabbit hole that will inspire you, and stop Googling and listen to my podcast. And then Erica Lynn is actually going to be on my podcast sooner rather than later. And so we'll get the other side of Erica Lynn's story. But before I get into my podcast, please go support Erica Lynn and her amazing story. And please leave a 5-star review or how many stars you see fit on Erica Lynn's podcast page in Apple Podcasts, aka Erica Lynn Speaks the Podcast. And now we will get into my story.
That's wonderful, Lynn. Thank you. Sometimes when I just start the podcast, I forget about that whole part, of the introduction. And so since Lynn mentioned all that, I want to tell you, make sure if you're watching this video and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the video. And if you are watching it on Apple Podcasts, make sure you download it. Or if you're on Facebook, hit the like button. Whatever it is, make sure that you're able to get notified when we bring new podcast episodes for you, for your pleasure, for your learning, and for your listening power to take you to the next level.
And you guys, if you noticed, I pointed right down there. That is the red subscribe button. And you will see a little bell. Turn on that bell to get all notifications on the Alkaline podcast, please.
That's right. Good job, Lynn. Good
Not
job.
my. This is not my first time in this rodeo.
I can tell. That's right. Get me together. Teach me.
Yeah, and so I want to welcome you guys into my story. My story is I have a neurological disability called cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a lack of oxygen entry at birth. I got my gift from God at back in June of 87, June 22nd, 87 to be exact. I've had my gift from God for 33 years now, almost 34 years. And in the midst of me dealing with this gift, aka the disability, I have lost both my parents, been emotionally and physically abused, and I'm still thriving and still kicking and getting a journalism degree as we speak. And so that is my story. And I just want to thank Alkaline again for welcoming me on.
And you have such a fascinating story. When we had our conversation and I was able to go in depth with you and learn the things that you have went through and learn the things that you are doing, and it doesn't even seem like you have a disability, because like you do things that I'm still trying to play catch up, and I'm older than you. So
yes.
So with that being said, I want to go a little deeper, and then we're going to go and we're going to touch the things that you're doing now and how you've been inspired to do what you're doing and how you help others. So in order to go a little bit deeper, you talked about that you were abused a little bit. And so let's clarify what type of abuse that you've experienced and how did it affect you?
I experienced emotional abuse 3 times. I was abused once by a priest, once by a boss, and then once by by my 2 aunts. The third time was the most severe. The third time involved physical abuse too. And then my 2 aunts got called and basically got called out and said, you don't hurt people like this. You don't stick a iPhone camera up in a vagina, thank you very much. And you don't put people in a shower against their will. And so basically what happened was, me being a former educator, I was a first responder for young kids, and me knowing the signs of abuse, I always thought, well, I would save a child's life, not my own. And I knew when it was happening that I was being abused. What happened was my dad died. After 10 years before that, I lost my mom. And so in 2019, I lost my dad too. And so my aunts decided to come out and disguise a birthday dinner and a birthday weekend as a welfare check to check in on me. And I thought, okay, I would say yes to this welfare check, because I thought they were going to say to my stepmom, to my stepsister, to my aide who was working with me at the time, how can we help you raise Lynn?
Yeah.
That didn't happen. That did not happen. On Sunday, June 23rd, they come in to my house, the house where I'm living now, and they hand my stepmom a bag of food. My aunt says nothing, and she hands my stepmom the bag of food. Not even hello, not even can I help you set up the food? Can I help you do everything? And I, we were in the middle of a meet. We were at the beginning of a meeting
Yeah.
because my aide that was working with me at the time was going out of town on a vacation. Of course, this was pre-planned. We knew she was going out of on
Right.
vacation, and so she got another person temporarily to cover her. And so when the meeting was over, my aunts go, "Come on, Lynn, it's time to go downstairs and we'll help you get dressed." I was in a top and I was in a pair of pants. Well, unbeknownst to us, I had a PJ top on,
Mm-hmm.
and the next thing I knew, my aunt closed the door behind me, closed the door of my bedroom. And that typically doesn't happen to
Okay.
me. I typically leave my door open for safety reasons unless I really want it closed. I tell
Right.
people I'm closing the door, I'm in a meeting, but that's a red flag right there. When a person does something without asking you, that's a red flag right there.
Okay.
Typically, a person would ask a normal person, "Do you want this door closed? Do
Right.
you want X, Y, and Z?" And I say yes or no. And so then she closes her door. I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go. Because she had the what I like to call the death stare towards my aide, towards the aide we were hiring temporarily for the 2 weeks. And then she also had the death stare towards my mom and my stepsister. And my mom and my stepsister my mom had just gotten back from a hike, and she ran from a hike to my meeting because she knew that she was going to be late. And so my stepsister walks in from whatever she was doing. So they
Mm-hmm.
were all here when the meeting was over. So come on, when we're going to help you get dressed due to I have cerebral palsy and I need help.
Right.
And so when that door closed behind me, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And the first question out of my aunt's mouth was, "How's your home life?"
Yeah.
And now you got to remember, this was 1 month after my dad died.
Yeah.
And I just lost my mom, her sister, 10 years ago, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is not a welcome. How's your home life? That is, and I said my home life is perfectly fine. We're
Yeah.
trying to do best we can. Well, and then she went on and on and on about you're paying the aides too much. You're doing all this, on and on and on. And then she says she rolls a chair into my bedroom and starts undressing me, and then accuses the aide of not giving me a shower that day, which the aide had been on
Yeah.
the clock since 7:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time,
Right.
and had given me a shower and had gotten me dressed. The aide just put me in a PJ top because she didn't think it looked like PJs. It
Right.
looks like a normal top. So my aunt went on and on about, "You put Win on a PJ
Right.
top. She smells like fish. She is doing all this."
So she was
And
just
then
finding all type of things wrong or finding all type of excuses so that she could, put her point. So like saying, hey,
exactly,
why don't you
exactly,
get rid of them and let me stay, let me take over. So I
exactly.
yeah, so that she had an ulterior motive.
Ulterior motive. Yeah, exactly. And then and then my aide went into the room. The next thing I know is I'm getting a camera stuck up in my vagina to take a picture of my pubic hair. And apparently, my stepsister walked into the bathroom too because my abuser grabbed my stepsister by the arm and dragged her downstairs into this mess and said, please, and said we need to. My abuser didn't even say we need to help when she goes, get a razor now and all this stuff. And so then I'm left shaken. I am left crying on the side of my bed. My aide walks in. My mom walks over to the side of me, holds me. I'm in tears because at this point I knew that I was getting abused. And then the next thing we know, we go out to dinner and she's still on full tilt. And so, and then the kicker is my counselor said, do you feel safe at home? I said, yes, but this is what's going on. And the counselor called Adult Protective Services. That next week, I walk out of counseling knowing nothing, knowing that she didn't call.
Right.
And I'll never forget it. There was a couch in the counseling office waiting room, and my aides normally sit on a couch and wait for me to get done. I thought, oh, maybe my aide is in the bathroom. Maybe my aide went out to make a phone call. I mean, it's her personal time. She can do whatever. She knows what time to come back and pick me up. Unbeknownst to me, a complete stranger comes over to me and doesn't even say your aide. He goes, your driver is over in Adult Protective Services speaking on your behalf. I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, wow.
Here we go.
So that is
and
how.
so
So that's
then
how they found out, what was happening with you and your abuser, and was able to step in
the
and.
counselor, yeah, the
Yeah.
counselor called and said, I need to report a case. And so I walk over to Adult Protective Services. My aide I walk out. The next thing I know, I'm standing there, and my aide walks out, and Adult Protective Services goes, Win? And I go, yes. And they said, do you want to come back with us for 2 seconds and talk to us? And I go, sure. And I'll never forget it. I was supposed to record 2 podcasts that day.
You didn't get to do your podcast.
And I didn't get to do my podcast. Yeah. And I'll never forget thinking, oh boy, this is bigger than podcast recording. And so I went back and I said what I needed to say. And I said, you guys, I said to Adult Protective Services out in Colorado, I said, and a cop was there and Adult Protective Services was there. And I said, you guys need to let my stepmom know what's going on. And they go, your stepmom has already been called and she knows what's going on. And I'm like, oh boy, because she was at work when all this was going down. So that next week, I got driven by my aide, who was the original witness, down to a professional interviewer. My aide left me alone with the professional interviewer because she didn't want to leave me, but in that case, you have to leave.
That's their requirement.
That's the requirement. So,
I wanted to tell you, because I know we had, talked about this before, and I like what I can say is I commend you for even speaking out to your counselor, because you may not have been able to fix the situation on your own, but you were able to speak out to your counselor and allow someone else to step in on your behalf. And oftentimes that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Things are going on, they're being abused, there's things going on in their household. Kids are being affected by what goes on in their household. And we're told what goes on in the house stays in this house. Don't tell anybody.
No,
But in the
no,
meantime, you're
that's
in the
not
house
true.
being right.
That's not true. This
Absolutely.
stranger danger has to stop. This stranger
Absolutely.
danger has to stop. You have to tell somebody. I was always
Yeah.
told, if you ever see something suspicious with little kids, you call Child Protective Services. So I got that training unbeknownst to my abuser. I got that training
But I'm glad
myself
you got
way
that
back when.
training, because that saved your life. And
Yeah,
then and there was purpose in that for your life being saved, because there were so many other people whose lives that you needed to touch. There were so
yeah,
many people who, when you tell your story every day, they're being affected by you telling your story. And you had, when we had spoke last time, how many podcasts have you recorded so far, Lynn?
I have recorded over 1,300 episodes on Ask Win. And so every single time I hit that record button, I'm saving another person's life.
And that's fantastic. And also, we were discussing, so now you have gone through, the point where you had to get some healing, overcome some things, kick some people out of the way, and you recorded 1,300 podcasts. And you told me that you have one degree and you're getting another degree. Can you tell us what the degree is that you have and what the
I
degree is that you're
have
working with?
a early childhood education degree. I'm getting a degree in journalism.
In journalism. And so you like to write, and you like to obviously record, because you did
Yes,
1,300
yes,
podcasts,
yes.
and you do such a wonderful job telling your story, and being able, so people can see, like, wow, dang, if Wynn can go through, if Wynn can have cerebral palsy and get a degree, get one degree and working on her second degree, record over 1,300 episodes. Now this is the kicker. How many books have you written, Lynn?
11 and working on my 12th and 13th book.
So what is the name of book number 11?
The name of book number 11 is going to be a diary of your voice. It's all going to be about how to podcast from my perspective. Thank you very much. And the book number 12 is going to be a novel based upon my experience about being abused. Book number 11 is I have a novel series out called The View from a Series, all about fashion, and then all about disabilities. And then I have a couple memoirs out, updated version, but the one I'm most known for is I, Win. I, WIN.
All right. So if they wanted to, so are any of your books up for sale now? You have
Oh
books on your
yeah.
website? Okay.
Oh yeah, all the books that are out, my 11 books. I'm working on my 12th and 13th book, but my 11 books are up for sale, and they can type in my name on Amazon and just have at it.
Just give it a go, right?
Yeah.
um, I the reason why I felt like I had to have you on this podcast, and one of the reasons is because when you share your story of being abused, right? So many women out here are being abused. And when we talk about abuse, they automatically, naturally think I'm only talking about the abuse of a man, that a man gives a woman. But there's
Yeah.
so many different
Hello.
types of
Women
abuse.
women
Yeah,
can give women as
yes,
abuse. A man didn't abuse me. A woman abused me. Thank you very much.
right.
No.
Well,
And this elephant in the room needs to come out of the closet. I have a friend who she's actually my aide, and she's more my friend than my aide, although she does work with me in an aide capacity.
right.
And she got abused, and it took her 13 years to tell her story. And
Yeah.
she goes, "Man, Win, you're telling your story quicker than me, and I'm able-bodied." And so, yeah. And so it's a woman against a woman. And you, and what I've learned in general about abuse, and this goes for everyone, and what I've learned in general about abuse is that the abuser won't let the abusee go to get
Yeah.
help.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They try to keep you hidden in the house. Like in certain circumstances, they begin to disassociate you with your friends and your family, and you just kind of become an introvert and a loner, and just all different type of scenarios happen. And so, what is so important is that if you are in a situation where you feel like you've been abused or you are abused, then you need to get help. Even if you inbox me in my inbox and I'll give you a number to contact. I don't have it in front of me right now. Or you can call your local agency. So, like here in Michigan, and I'm not sure if this is all over, we could just dial 411 on your cell phone or on your house phone. If you don't want to call the police, right? You can call 411, and that information line, they'll come up. You tell them what's going on. They'll find you a counseling center in your area. They'll find you an advocate. They'll find someone to come in and help you through your situation. But what's most important is do not be afraid that that something is going to happen to you. Move strategically. Be smart about it. Now, I do say that. Be smart about how you do it. But when you get a chance to get out, get out. Or if you get that chance to tell somebody, you make sure that you tell someone. And so
And
when
I can always do what they call witnessing for emotional and physical abuse. I have the power to do what they call witnessing, and I do that because I was very lucky. God blessed me. The way God sets us up is He had four witnesses the um, witness the emotional slash physical abuse. Three witnesses witness the physical abuse. Four witness the emotional abuse. And so, and the fourth one left in the beginning of my emotional abuse. But it was interesting because the higher universe or God put one person beside me that wasn't my abuser, and he put another person on the in my living room that also wasn't my abuser. He put another one upstairs. So my aide was with me. My aide, who knows not to touch me, was with me. My stepsister was in my living room. My stepmom was in the master bedroom because we were getting ready to go out to dinner, as I said. And so, yeah.
Yeah. When I just think you're a fantastic woman. You are a beautiful woman. And every time I get an opportunity to speak with you, I just love having conversations with you. I just wish we had more time. I have to bring you back on the podcast again and we could talk about one of your books or something because you always got
Yeah.
something going on
No,
in your life.
that's perfectly fine. Bring me all day long. I can talk about my
That's
books. I can talk about my life.
That's awesome. I want you to tell the viewers how can they reach you if they want to buy your book. If they want to check you out on your website or follow you on social media.
AskLynn.weebly.com.
Okay. AskWin.weebly.com. And it'll be, you guys will have a link in the comment section on the show notes on the podcast. So you'll be able to visibly see the link. And those of you who are following us on YouTube, I'll put the link in the comment section below. Please make sure you follow, like, or subscribe. And if you have any questions that you want to ask Win or I, put them down in the comment section. We'll be glad to answer your questions, you know.
And if you guys Google, if you guys search YouTube for my name, my YouTube channel will pop up as well. I do a lot of YouTube work.
Win is famous, y'all. She just famous. Just a beautiful woman. She is famous. I love it, Win. I love it. But thank you for coming on the podcast, Win. And, you know, this is a home where I want everybody to feel comfortable. I want you to feel safe. I want you to be able to share your story. You know, I want someone to resonate with your story, to say, well, dang, Lynn got cerebral palsy. She was abused. She's been through this, but now she has a degree and working on a second degree. Did 1,300 podcasts, wrote 11 books. Now she's on her 12th book. That is phenomenal. So you guys, if Win can overcome her obstacles and her challenges, to not even see them as challenges and live her life the way that she wants to live it, so can you. But Win had to do the work to get there. So she didn't just start from 0 and went to 100. She walked on her path and went through her process to get her to where she is today. So don't skip over the process. Go through the process and you too will achieve and accomplish all the goals that you have set for yourself. And plus, the doors were open and you were just walking in alignment with your path and your purpose. You know, so thank you, Win, again for being on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. Do you have any last words?
Just do it. Just do it. It may sound cliche, but just do it. And please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please go subscribe to my podcast, and please just do it and reach out to Erica Lynn and myself if you have any questions about abuse. We will be happy to assist.
Absolutely. But thank you, Win. And you heard it from Win. Just do it. Don't say, I want to get up and I want to get a new job. I want to do a podcast. I want to start my own company. And you have hesitation. Just get up and do it. So that's our time, you guys. I'm Erica Lynn. And just remember, it only takes just one step beyond you. I'll see you guys next time on the next podcast. This podcast was brought to you by EricaLynnSpeaks.com. Sign up for your free consultation today at EricaLynnSpeaks.com/work with me. And just remember, it only takes just one step beyond you. I say Erica Lynn Speaks. Erica Lynn Speaks.